What's going on, everyone? Today we will be going over cleric tanking on Rift Prime. This guide will be geared more towards lower level beginner tanks, but I will also cover in-game specs to use on live courtesy of Annie from Raid Training. So let's get started. Alright, the main reason I wanted to make this guide is basically because I still see a lack of tanks on Prime, and the clerics get their tanking soul free from the start, so there really isn't a reason most clerics can't tank, unless they just absolutely hate doing it. But being able to tank is also a very effective way to ensure super fast dungeon queues. It's pretty much a guaranteed instant pop queuing as a tank. And the cleric tanks are extremely unique in that they have a battle res, and they can push out a decent amount of heals, which can really help take some of the burden off your healer, so they're a pretty sweet package. So the first thing we'll go over is the build. The best build strategy to use when starting off and still leveling, in my opinion, is to basically try to get as deep into the justicar tree as fast as possible and try and get the talents that will be the most beneficial and helpful to you. So you want to skip talents that really don't offer much in terms of tanking. These would be talents that are mainly focused on, increasing your damage, or talents that don't really offer a very good return due to how low your skills still are. So I would recommend going justicar, shaman, and an inquisitor. Rushing up your justicar tree as fast as possible, getting things like your interrupt, your battle res, and then trying to get to hammer of faith. And then for shaman, we want to put 6 points into it, 5 in thick skinned, 1 point in courage of the bear. And then for inquisitor, when you're forced to put points into that, 5 in planner study, and then we're going for armor of treachery. So our buffs for shaman are mean of leadership, armor of devotion until you get armor of treachery, courage of the bear, and Vengeance of the Winter Storm. So the macros for Justicar are extremely easy. We just have one spam macro, which is Precept of Refuge, Bolt of Radiance, Strike of Judgment, and Vex. Vex is just there, so if you're at range and all your other stuff is at cooldown, you can still put a dot on them. Alright, now we'll go over the abilities and how to use them. There's a couple that are kind of unique that we'll cover first. The first one is Convictions. The cleric gains Convictions whenever he attacks with Justicar abilities, but you also spend these when you use certain abilities. For example, Doctrine of Bliss consumes one conviction every time you use it, and this is a self-heal. Doctrine of Loyalty is an AoE heal, and this consumes 1 conviction every time you use it. Abilities like Hammer of Faith and Hammer of Duty consume all of your convictions, adding a damage multiplier per how many convictions spent. The other unique ability is Salvation. Salvation allows you to passively heal through your abilities when you attack enemies. This is very nice, and it adds quite a bit of padded healing to your raid to help out your healer. The other unique ability is Righteous Mandate. This allows you to target one person in your raid or your party, and this passively spreads your salvation heals to them. So going over the abilities, we have Doctrine of Bliss, which is a single target self-heal. We have your Spam macro, which is for single target and for ranged pulling. We have Even Justice, which is your AoE spam. We have Doctrine of Loyalty, which is your AoE heal. We have Hammer of Faith and Hammer of Duty, which are just hard-hitting, ranged threat-generating abilities. We have Purpose, which is a toggled ability that allows you to gain mana, but when it's on, you cannot gain conviction. So you want to toggle this on and off to rebuild your mana supply, but also make sure you don't leave it on and you won't gain any convictions. Next we have Provoke, which is your single target taunt. We have Righteous Imperative, which is your AoE taunt. Sorry if I butcher some of these names. Then we have Resplendent Embrace, which is your only cooldown that you have, which increases your maximum health by 20% and increases the healing you receive by 50%. Then we have Indirect, which is your interrupt. This is an AoE interrupt as well. And then we have Sovereignty, which is a ranged stun for 2 seconds. And then last but not least, we have Intercide, which is just an intercept for somebody in your raid. You intercept 50% of the damage they receive, and it puts your guard on that person. I almost forgot Ride the Lightning, which is a charged ability, or a charge ability from your shaman tree, which is quite nice for closing the gap. I use it quite a bit, and it's fun to use. So that basically covers all of the abilities. There's nothing really left except the rotation, I would say, and it's not really a rotation. You start off with your single target spam macro, which is your pull macro. If you have multiple mobs, you use your Even Justice spam. You use your Doctrine of Loyalty. That's your AoE heal, and that will also help you keep aggro. If you lose aggro and multiple mobs, use your Righteous Imperative, which is your AoE taunt, or if you lose aggro on one mob, you use your Provoke to taunt them back. And you want to rotate your Doctrine of Bliss and your Doctrine of Loyalty in between your rotation. This will help also passively heal you and help passively heal your raid, which will take some of the pressure off your healer. Alright, now we'll go over the Cleric tank builds for live. As mentioned earlier, Annie from Raid Training recommended 2 builds to me, one which is a complete min-max mitigation build, and the other one is a DPS tank build. He said he uses the DPS tank build for pretty much everything except for the second boss and Bastion of Steel, and that's the one he uses, or that's the only boss he uses his mitigation build for. The mitigation build is 61 Justicar, 6 Kabbalist, and 9 Shaman. And then for his DPS tank build, it's 61 Justicar, 12 Inquisitor, 3 Druid. Well, that pretty much wraps up this quick introduction to Cleric tanking. I hope you got something useful out of the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what video you'd like me to do next down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.